How's it going, guys? Kubrat Pulev defeats Samuel Peter by a fourth round TKO. He outboxes Peter for 4 rounds, and Peter basically gives up at the start of the fourth round. He was claiming an arm injury or something, but from the looks of it, he was pretty much just out of gas and he just couldn't continue. Let's talk about this fight. This was a pretty sad fight to watch. Watching it, it was clear as day from the opening bell that Sam Peter has no business in a boxing ring anymore. I mean, he was when I say Sam Peter was out of shape, I know that you've already got an image in your head because Sam Peter's pretty much always been out of shape his whole career, but I mean more out of shape than usual. I mean, his belly was hanging below his knees tonight, guys, man. I mean, such a big pot belly, flabby arms, no muscle at all. Looks as if he hasn't trained in years. It was sad to see him trying to throw punches, but falling short every time because he was just so slow and just didn't have the energy to really put anything behind his punches. He doesn't even have any power anymore. Going into the fight, I felt that at least Sam Peter still has his power. At least he can still punch. He can't even punch anymore. Okay, the guy's done, completely washed up. Time for him to retire. He basically tired himself out. And Kubrat Pulev, it was target practice for him in there. He was landing his jab all night. Consecutively landing that jab every time. Every time Peter tried to open up and throw a right hand, Pulev would just take a step back, jab him in the face. Then when Peter got close, Pulev would just hold. And there was a moment in the fight where he held and Peter hit him behind the head, and the crowd, a lot of boos from the crowd and whatnot. But I don't really blame him for that, because if a fighter's gonna hold, you're gonna hit them behind the head. You're gonna do what you have to get them off. And Kubrat Pulev, he never used to hold prior to the Klitschko fight. But anyway, let's enough about this fight, because it was a nothing fight basically. It was target practice. It was like working the heavy bag. Let's talk about where does Kubrat Pulev go from here. Kubrat Pulev, I think that he's still part of a rebuilding process at the moment, because after his devastating knockout defeat to Klitschko, he obviously has to make a few tweaks, and he has done that. He changed his training setup. He's now training with Uli Wegner, who's a very experienced German trainer. He's trained people like Arthur Abraham, Marcus Bayer, Sven Ottke, Robert Helenius, people like that. He's been around for years. He's trained a lot of fighters, so he knows all about training world champions and preparing them at the highest level. So it's good that he's got a proper trainer in his corner now. But honestly, Kubrat Pulev, other than the fact that he holds a little bit more now than he used to, I don't really see that many adjustments. I think he's still the same fighter, but to me, he doesn't look as confident or as fluid as he did before the Klitschko fight. Prior to that fight, Pulev was the kind of fighter who would come forward and would really bust you up with that jab while moving forward and looking for the knockout and looking to take you out with the right hand. But nowadays he looks a little bit timid. Nowadays he looks like he's afraid to get hit. I mean, every time Sam Peter got close, he held. He did the same thing to Chisora. So, Kubrat Pulev, the guy's got a lot of talent. He was obviously a very good amateur. He's got that very, very good jab. He's naturally gifted. He's athletically gifted, but I just don't know if he has it in him anymore. I really don't think he's that confident. I mean, if he's going to compete with the likes of Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder and Klitschko and Fury and all these guys, if he's going to compete with these guys, he's going to have to be confident. Okay, he's going to have to get that kind of that swag and that sharpness that he had before, prior to the Klitschko fight. But obviously he's going to have to be better defensively than he was in the Klitschko fight, because in the Klitschko fight his defense was atrocious. So he's going to have to be more energetic, more confident, and he's going to have to improve his defense too. Now he needs to stop the holding, man. I'm sick of seeing fighters hold all the time. It pisses me off. And I like Kubrat Pulev. I'm a fan of Kubrat Pulev. I've been watching him nearly his whole career. But, I preferred the old Pulev. I preferred it when he didn't do all that. I don't know whether that's Uli Wegner's tactics, because I've never really seen any of Uli Wegner's other fighters hold like that. I think what it is it's just that Pulev, he remembers that left hook he took off Klitschko. And I think that, he holds on because when he fought Klitschko did a lot of holding against him, and that negated what he was trying to do in the fight. So I think that he's trying to kind of emulate that, and when he fights a pressure fighter, just when they come forward before they can do any damage, just hold and lean, and it's all well and good doing that to people like Derek Chisora and Sam Peter, but if you're gonna try that tactic against someone like Deontay Wilder, for example, you're gonna get knocked out. Okay, if he tries that tactic against Anthony Joshua, tall, long guys with a lot of power and big left hooks from distance and whatnot, big straight right hands. If he tries that against those guys, it ain't gonna work. Okay, those guys are not shorter. Okay, they've got longer reaches than Pulev and they're taller than Pulev, so he's gonna have to find a way to box in the center of the ring without holding so much. Kind of like he did against Ustinov and Dimitrenko. If you look at those fights. Those two fights were, in my opinion, Kubrat Pulev's best performances, Ustinov and Dimitrenko. So if he can kind of get himself back to boxing in the center of the ring and relying on his jab from the outside rather than relying on just holding, I think that would give him a better chance of becoming heavyweight champion. But right now, I don't see him becoming heavyweight champion. I would even take, to be honest, I would take the winner of Andy Ruiz and Joseph Parker over Pulev at this stage, because I would certainly take Joseph Parker over Pulev. I just think that Joseph Parker, to me, is a better athlete. He's faster, and he can jab with Pulev too. He can box him, and he's not one of these shorter fighters that Pulev can lean on. So I really don't know how good Kubrat Pulev is. Like I said, this fight was just target practice. Okay, we didn't learn anything from it about Pulev at all. All we learned from this fight was that Sam Peter should never step in a boxing ring again. On a more positive note, though, one good thing I want to talk about here is that the venue and the crowd, they fucking loved it. They loved this fight. They loved this event. Kubrat Pulev's younger brother fought on the undercard too. There was a packed out venue. There were thousands of people there. They enjoyed the fight. They really got behind the Pulevs, and I think that this is very good because this is the first time that Kubrat Pulev has fought in Bulgaria. So clearly he's bringing a lot of interest and a lot of intrigue to Bulgarian boxing. And like a few of us have talked about, we like to see a balance of power. We like to see boxing. We like to see it succeed as a global sport. So I think that, countries like Bulgaria, where boxing isn't very big, the fact that they were able to turn out a crowd like this in a big event, I think it's very good for boxing as a whole. We need to see the sport, we need to see it as more of a global sport. That's why I like talking about fighters in certain countries where the sport isn't very popular, because I like to give these fights exposure. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy this fight, but I do think that it was good for boxing that they had an event in Bulgaria, and I do think that Kubrat Pulev should continue to fight in Bulgaria. I think that if he can get a crowd like that fighting someone like Sam Peter, it'll be interesting to see what a crowd he could get fighting a legitimate heavyweight contender. So yeah, I think that'll be interesting to see what they do there. I know that the Sauerlands are obviously very well connected promoters. They do a lot of business around Eastern Europe, Scandinavia, and whatnot. They've even started signing quite a lot of British fighters. They've signed people like Derek Chisora and George Groves. So they're starting to branch out a bit, and they could continue to put shows on in Bulgaria. I don't see why not, because I never understood, I never realized before this fight just how big a name Kubrat Pulev was in Bulgaria, because when I watch Kubrat Pulev fight in Germany, I watch his German cards online and whatnot, he doesn't seem to have that much support. I mean, he obviously has his little cliques, his little groups with the Bulgarian flags and whatnot that cheer for him in the crowd, but, he never really had any kind of overwhelming support. But fighting in Bulgaria, the whole crowd was behind him, and it was a big crowd too. So, yeah, it's good to know that he can get a crowd like that, and I hope that they continue to market him there and his brother too. So yeah, that was a more positive note, I suppose. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that Pulev could become a world champion? In my opinion, he has no chance against Anthony Joshua. That fight's a mismatch. Anthony Joshua will catch him with a left hook, and it will put him to sleep. That's what will happen in that fight. If he fights Deontay Wilder, that's a good fight, interesting fight, because we haven't seen Deontay Wilder fight someone with the kind of jab that Kubrat Pulev has. A big fighter with a long jab. The best jabber that he fought was probably Johan Duhaupas. He had a very good jab, but Johan Duhaupas isn't as consistent with it as Pulev is. He doesn't really have that snap behind it that Pulev has. So that would be interesting. Deontay Wilder against Pulev. I would like to see that fight. It's interesting. I'll probably pick Wilder, but it's not a bad fight. It's a good fight. It'd be good while it lasts. I suppose if Tyson Fury comes back, Tyson Fury was actually lined up to fight Pulev at one point. But Fury actually pulled out. That was a long time ago. I'm going back to 2012, something like that. There was talks of them fighting in a big fight in Germany, but Fury didn't want the fight for whatever reason. So I don't know. It'd be an interesting fight. Pulev might be able to catch Fury with a jab, but I do think that Fury would ultimately outbox him. That is if he even decides to come back, because he's talking about retirement at the moment. But we all know he'll be back. He'll be back eventually. Other than that, who else? You've got I believe Vladimir Klitschko is talking about fighting Joshua next year. So even if he wants to fight Joshua, Pulev will have to get in line, because Joshua, he's got the Molina fight, then supposedly Klitschko after that. This heavyweight division, it's in a bit of a mess at the moment. Thanks to Tyson Fury vacating all his belts. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching.